Everyone sucks at this. Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series where we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 5th episode of the miniseries Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, as well as the 150th episode overall, titled Attack of the 60-Foot Bulk. We begin this episode at Splash City, which according to Aisha is owned by Bulk's uncle, and was just opened for their class. Also, hey, it's Mr. Wilton. I mean, why is he the same age? Billy is there too, apparently acting as Tommy's Uncle William, who is chaperoning the trip. They see the water park in all of its glory. Mr. Wilton then leaves to yell at some kids. Tommy says it's fun and all, but they're worried that the Equations might have died on their way home.
Kids, could you lighten up a little?
They then beg Billy to use the communicator to check in with Zordon and Alpha to make sure that their fish friends made it back to their tank safely. And after Billy gets swarmed by them, he finally does it. Zordon says that he's going to try to contact them now. On Aquitar, we see the aliens and yeah, they're fine. They're nearly rehydrated, then Zordon says, "Zordon out," which, oddly enough, is a thing that he's actually said before. Then Zordon advises Billy to let the Ranger kids have fun because their bodies and emotions are so much younger, so they need physical release. Zordon, you really could have phrased that in a way less creepy way. On the moon, Zed and Rita are watching this, realizing that the aliens are gone, so now is the time to strike. Zed then tells Goldar and Rito that according to some random scroll he found while looking for the command center's weakness, found out that there's a map of tunnels beneath the building. The map will lead Goldar and Rito to the most vulnerable spot under the place, and they can blow the place up. Then, after Goldar says that he doesn't want to go with Rito, but he has no choice, they leave. Then Zed and Rito decide to use the meanest kid in the Rangers class to make a new monster. Gee, I wonder who it's gonna be. Then it's time for a water slide montage. Also a long line. Turns out Bulk and Skull are trying to cut everyone, but a scary black man yells at them, so they run away. Why does he have to be an angry black man? Rita and Zed see this and they're pissed that the kids are too stupid to be mean. Then Rita mentions that Goldar and Rito forgot the destruction mechanism, which I'm pretty sure is like 7-syllable way of saying bomb. In the tunnels, Rito and Goldar are retrieving the scroll, and Rita shows up to scream at them, holding the bomb. She hands it over to Goldar, and of course Goldar and Rito argue over who is going to carry what, and then Rito says, "Screw it, we'll both have a map," so he tears the map in half, each taking a piece. Rita, in her frustration, bounces out. Meanwhile, Bulk and Skull are back to cutting people to an instrumental version of Shape It Up Bulk and Skull. At least they got more than one play out of that, I guess. They go down the water slide for what feels like 15 freaking minutes before they come out into the pool. They see Rocky and Aisha just looking at them, and I guess that offends Bulk, and he tells Skull to go get a bunch of round tubes and meet him at the bridge. Zed sees this and says that Bulk is a potential monster, and then Rocky and Aisha and Adam are going down the slide, and they toss the tubes over onto the three, and Bulk and Skull laugh while Billy helps the three out of the tubes. Then the Ranger kids complain to Billy how that was super dangerous. I mean, here's a question. How? I get it's not like the best idea, but like it's not like they were going to drown from getting a flotation device wrapped around them. If anything, they were actually making them safer. Billy says he's going to handle this, leaving. Then Zed and Rita say that they found the best brat for the job, so they start to zap him. Billy then comes over, yelling at them, and suddenly Bulk turns into Brat Boy, a video game-based monster. Makes sense, right? Then he tosses Billy into the water, and the 6 Rangers stand ready to fight the monster, and Billy tries to get in touch with Zordon, but his communicator is wet, so it's not working. Then Billy just gets in contact anyways, and Aisha says that everyone is eating lunch, so they're fine. The Rangers need help, and Zordon says that he'll get on it, but until then, the Rangers are talking smack with flotation devices behind their backs. The hell are they gonna do? Zordon talks to Delphine telepathically, explaining the situation, and she says they're rehydrated, so it's Morphin time! The Alien Rangers come into the scene, letting the Ranger kids run away. Now it's a battle against Brat Boy throughout the water park, and honestly, I love this fight, because we're seeing a lot of water battles, and they use their environment super well. Also, Corcus and Delphine go for a swim for no reason. Also, Titus is just sending the monster down a water slide in a pool float, and then we cut to the weirdest thing ever. All 5 of the Alien Rangers are relaxing with drinks and liaison, saying hi to Brat Boy. The hell? Zed and Rita then just turn Brat Boy giant, and then he starts dunking polluted water on top of the Alien Rangers. And he says that he's going to go trash the city, just obliterating a building. The Alien Rangers call it their Battleborgs. Orko and Delphine try to stop him first, but they get tossed away, and then Corcus tries to help, but he sucks too. Then the Ranger kids are just sitting, and after they get Skull and a group of kids to leave them alone, Billy talks to Zoran about how they want to try to help Bulk, and Aisha even calls Bulk their friend. I mean, is he right now? Zordon's going to attempt to get them into the battle location. Then the Ranger kids come in screaming at Bulk to just stop, and there's a brief moment where he turns into adult Bulk and whimpers before he turns back into his kid self. Then Zed and Rita just turn him back into Brat Boy again, so that was a giant waste of our time. Then Zed tells him to kill the Rangers, and Brat Boy just fires at them on the moon instead. Then they just turn Bulk back to normal anyways. The other Rangers leave to go back to their planet to rehydrate because God forbid they don't call out their shtick for once, and then Alpha teleports everyone back to the water park. Bulk wakes up and reenacts the final scene from Wizard of Oz about how everyone was there when he was a monster in a dream, and Rocky says that Bulk hit his head pretty hard, and Aisha says that it's from him horsing around. Then Skull comes in telling him the truth about how he was definitely just a monster, and Bulk refuses to believe him. Then Zordon beeps the Rangers via the communicator, and he says that they have new information on how to get the powers back for the Rangers. They teleport out. Meanwhile, Goldar and Rito are struggling to figure out how to get through a closed door that's in their way, and Rito just sets fire to Goldar's half of the map on accident. Again, what is the point of this episode? In the command center, Zordon tells the Rangers that in order to get the Earth back to normal, they will have to use the Zeo Crystal. And Tommy reminds the audience that they definitely divided it all up and scattered it all over the planet, while Billy mentions how it was sent through a time hole vortex, so the pieces would be super hard to find. Zordon basically explains that like, yeah, that's definitely what happened, but maybe I might be able to find them via the powers that they emulate. And then essentially he's pinpointed the exact location and time periods that the crystal parts are at. So he's just gonna send these 5 kids to these locations to get the crystal pieces. He also goes as far as saying that this is a potentially fatal mission, so good luck kids. Billy says that since he's the one that regained his age, he should be the one to go. But Zordon refuses, saying that the crystal pieces will only respond to those affected by the time warp. The Kid Rangers accept the challenge, and Zordon says, "Let the Zeo quest begin." Over the credits, we get more scenes of the water slide fun intercut with David Yost bloopers. This episode's so strange because the A plot is 100% filler, and the B plot is continuing to be the serialization of the miniseries. This is honestly the best way that Power Rangers has been written thus far, because while they're selling all those toys and whatnot, there's much bigger things going on as well, such as Rito and Goldar planting a bomb under the freaking command center, and the Zeo quest beginning. However, I have to say that turning Bulk into a clearly video game themed monster was stupid, because like how the Alien Rangers are clearly ninjas, it's just never mentioned. So how will next episode showcase the Zeo quest? Find out next time, but until then, may the power protect you.